Yeah. So on the data engineering side, I have around 5 to 6 years of experience. So this is about my technical skills and my experience. Now coming to this data engineering course. So um, we are going to look complete data engineering course from the scratch to complete end-to-end sample project. So that will be our agenda for this course. So now let me share my screen. So you all are from different backgrounds. If you are from different technologies, anything is fine. Okay, but I'll start from the zero. Let me share my screen. Okay,
Adi,
hope you can see the screen. Yeah.
Adi, this is Manish here. So, just want to know, like, are you going to cover Azure Synapse as well?
Not completely Azure Synapse. So we are going to see Azure SQL, Azure Databricks, and the Azure Data Factory. So the Synapse is going to be a combination of these three will become a Synapse.
Okay.
So if you know Data Factory, you can directly work on the Synapse, and if you know SQL, you can directly work on the Synapse. And within the Databricks also, you'll be having Spark. The same Spark will be there in the Synapse. So the combination of these three technologies will become a Synapse.
Sure.
And finally, after completion of these three, Azure SQL. So what I'm planning, so here we are going to see after completion of Azure SQL, Azure Data Factory, Azure Databricks, this is our core technologies we are going to discuss. So after completion of this, Synapse versus Snowflake. On high level, we are going to discuss the things on the Synapse and Snowflake. So here, SQL will be there, Spark will be there, and the ADF Azure Data Factor will be there. Here, Spark will be there. So here also, SQL and Spark, okay, and no data factory in this. So you don't have the data factory kind of thing. So there is a different ways we have, okay, like jobs. So we are going to see on high level comparisons on the Synapse and Snowflake. Okay. So after completion of our core technologies after project. So this will become a project. Anyhow, we'll go one by one. First, let me start with the um, demo agenda. Okay, fine. So in today's demo, we are there will be a completely three demos. Okay, so it's a Wednesday, right? Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So there will be three demos. Now on the first demo, in today's demo, we are going to cover what is data engineering and what is Azure data engineering. So that is our agenda today. So in tomorrow's demo, we are going to see the technical terms within the Azure data engineer. What are all the technologies it will be there, and how to implement the things within the Azure data engineering projects. That we will see in tomorrow's session. And the day after tomorrow, we will go with the some sample examples of the data engineering workflows. Okay, so this is our agenda for the demos. Okay, so today's agenda is, if you know some things, just please bear me some time. Okay, then after everyone will become a new to this. Okay, so now first let me go with the paint. I always like paint. Fine. So here I'm starting from the completely zero. If you know some things, that is fine, guys. Okay. So first I'm at zero. I don't know anything. Either you are from IT background or non-IT background, you are at zero. Just assume that. Okay. But everyone knows that you are playing with the some applications in the real world, like Flipkart. You know how to play with the Flipkart. Similarly, Amazon and Mintra, right? And some other applications. If you take any application in the online, any retail application, or if you go with some automotive applications or banking applications, any application you can take. So you know how to play with the application. If you know the computer knowledge, simply you will go to one Google Chrome or Internet Explorer, whatever, and you will simply search it, right? So they'll search ICICI Bank. If you search ICICI Bank, you will get some details. You can able to see some page, some web page within the browser. So that page contains some information. What kind of information it contains first? Generally login information, and it will ask the user ID, the password, or registration of that particular user. So these details it will ask. You are giving the details, but behind the scenes, how it is working, that you don't know, right? Let's say if you know, that's fine. Just please bear with some time. So here I am taking one best example to understand on this Mintra. Okay. So I'm going to Mintra. Let me open the Mintra application. Okay. Just I'm searching with Mintra. So it's a online e-commerce application, same like Flipkart and the Amazon. Hope many of you knows this. Yeah. So here you can see this application is opening. There is a this is a complete web page. Okay. So this web page contains this some information. I am seeing that information like a man. Yeah, please go on mute. Fine. So here it contains some information. Men, women, kids, home living, beauty, studio. While looking at this, simply you are understanding, okay, I need to go to the men section. The men related products I can buy from this section, men section, right? So simply you can play with this application, but this entire data you are seeing here, but how you are seeing this entire data in this application? How the people are building these images, and this now these particular fields are there, this flat 10%, 100% off, all things are there. If you see the alignment and this horizontal wise, vertical wise, all the alignments you can see. So these alignments also there. Everything is perfect in this page. But who is building? And also about this data, who is providing this? Who is providing the data to this application? That we don't know. Now, on this data and this entire application, always there will be two things. Okay. So first thing is, we were talking about the data and the web page, which contains some images, okay, and different information. Now, data and web page. There will be a data persons. This Mintra itself, it's a one application, which means it's a software, right? So to implement this software, there is a data persons. Okay. So I'm calling them as a data developers as of data developers. Now on this web page, there will be a UI persons. UI means user interface. Okay. So UI persons and also programming persons, because they have to give all the information within this web. UI means it's about the designing of that particular page. What is the color and all these things. Now there are two aspects. One is data and one is UI. So we are coming into this zone, on the data zone. So we don't care of this web UI and the programming. Okay. Now, when it comes to the data section, on this data, there is a data we are showing, right? So whoever the data is showing, those are not data persons. Whoever the data is showing, those are the programming and UI persons, programming persons. Okay. So we can call them as a front end developers. Front end developers. Fine. So now on the front end developers, we don't care of them. Now, when it comes to the data side, the maintenance of the data. I'm seeing a lot of data in that application, but maintenance of the data is done by data, what do you call data developers. Okay. So I am the data developer. I'm maintaining the data. Fine. Whoever the data is maintaining at some place, I'm calling them as a data persons in a software industry. So they are maintaining the data that is in one context. Now, whoever is using the data, some people they'll consume the data, right, into some application. Already data is there. I'm using that data. So I'm calling them as a data engineers or data analysts. Forget of the spelling mistakes, please. So data engineer or data analyst. Now data engineer, already data is there. Some data developers are maintaining the data, but in what form we have the data? We'll come to this again. Okay. Now, how they are maintaining the data? That is the question. Let me open the Excel. So here, let me go to that application again. There is a men, women, kids, all these things are there. I'm giving a naming convention to this, all the men, women, kids category. I can give it, right? All these are the categories. What kind of categories I have? Men and women. Okay. And kids. So for this category, I'm giving a numbering system. Category ID 1, 2, 3. Okay. So this is the information maintaining by the data developers. Where? In some technology. What is the technology? In the industry, we have different technologies. So where we can maintain the data in this form. This is only one. Now, when I go to the application again, if I move my cursor on this, I can see a different information under this main. Top wear, footwear, bottom wear, all this, right? So let me give a naming convention to this subcategory. All these are subcategories. I'm giving a subcategory. Now, what is the subcategories I have? Top wear and bottom wear and footwear. I have the data like this, right? So now this top wear, bottom wear, footwear is part of which category? Men. This is men. 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 Now I'm maintaining one more block. So I'm giving this name as a category. Okay. So for this subcategory, inside the subcategory, what are all the things are there? T-shirts, casual shirts, all this. So I'm giving a product subcategory. Products subcategory. So you can give T-shirts, all these things. This T-shirts means if it is a T-shirts, it's a top wear, right? So I can maintain the data in this way for many places. I mean, so I'm calling this as a table. Okay. So what is table? I'll discuss. So this is one table. This is another table. Like this, I can have any number of tables. Okay. Based on the data you have in the application. So if you go to this T-shirts, if you click on it, it will redirect to some page. So here, let's say I like this T-shirt. So on this T-shirt, I will go to the particular tab and I'll buy it. I'll add to the bag and I'll choose the size. All this information we are maintaining, the data developers are maintaining in the tables. So just as an example, I have shown the only two tables. I may have 500 tables also. What kind of information that tables contains? This, whatever the data you are seeing in the application. It may be a 500 tables also. So the data developers, they'll maintain the data in the 500 tables in a database. So database is a technology. Okay, so within the database, I may have number of tables. 500 tables are there. Can you please go on, Peter? Okay. So within the database, I may have 500 tables. Each table contains some set of information. So I'm separating out the information from that application as a category and the subcategory, and all the subcategories are part of category, and also product subcategories are part of the subcategory. So like this, I may have the information within my database in the form of tables. Now, what is table? Table means it contains the data in the form of columns and rows. This is a column. This is the row. Column. This is column 1, column 2, and this is row. First row, second row, third row, like that. You may have millions of rows also. And you may have hundreds of columns also. This is also same. Okay. Now, as a data person, because we are data engineers, but still we need to know about how to maintain the data. Okay. So every data person should have this knowledge. Not only the knowledge of this maintaining the tables maintaining the data in the tables. We should have the knowledge how these tables having the relationship. So if you see this category and subcategory, subcategories is part of a men, right? There is a woman also. Within the woman also, there is a top wear, footwear, different things are there as part of the women category, right? There is a relationship. Now I can say there is a relationship between these two tables based on the category. So instead of category name, I'm giving a numbering system. 111. I can give it, right? Because I'm maintaining the numbering system to this. Similarly, I can give the numbering system to this subcategory ID also. Because this is a starting place. 1, 2, 3. These are the subcategories I have, right? Similarly, I may have the data for women related category as a subcategories, kids, and for rest of the information also from that application. So here one of the table, it is going to be a phone table also. Phone table, customer ID, phone number, right? And there may be address table also, address ID. Let's say first customer ID. One customer ID may have multiple addresses, right? So address type. Is it a home address or business address? What type of address it is? Okay. So this is the address type. There may be some more column. Delivery address, let's say. Okay. Delivery address. Like this, you may have the number of tables. Every table contains some data. And if you take two tables, any two tables or three tables, it will be having a relationship. There is a customer, but where is a customer table? Customer also will be there. Let's say there is a customer ID, customer name. This customer, it is a relation. Similarly, this customer and this customer, it's a relation. So there is a relationships in the database. Let me reiterate, database contains the tables. All the tables if you, on top of all these tables, if you take any 2 or 3 tables, it contains the relationship column to column. Okay. So first, this is the uh, idea we should have on the data. Okay. This is on the retail application. If you see this online e-commerce application, Mintra, if you take some other applications like airlines or automotive, banking domain, insurance domain, you can take any application based on their domain, either insurance, hospitals, okay, healthcare, banking, any domain, based on their domains, they will maintain the data in the database. Okay. So when it comes to the retail, we are saying it's a categories. Okay. So if it is a insurance application, there will be a policies, right? So what are the number of policies? What are the offers I have? And different policies for the vehicle, home policy, vehicle policy, right? The person policy. So it's like a LIC. Based on the data, we have to segregate the tables. Okay. So every data person should have the knowledge on some knowledge on the domain. Okay, fine. So now let's talk about the data engineer. Okay. We are coming to our core one. Now on this data engineer part, my data is ready. Okay. So here you see my data is ready. My data is there in the database. And also my data is there in the Excel file. I may have it, right? And I'm getting the data from the web, internet. Okay. So this is database, which contains the data in the form of tables. Here it's a files. It may be a Word file, PDF file, or a CSV file. Okay. We'll talk about the files, what type of files we have. Excel file. You all know about the Excel file. Some people, CSV file. Okay. Now this is a API, application programming interface. From the web also, if I give some URL to you, so you will get a data. Okay. Let me tell you that also, because we'll be working on this also. I'm going to web go rest.co.in. This is a API. So from this API, we'll get the data. You can see there is this is API, okay, application programming interface. If I click on the users, this one, see, there is some data. Okay. So we get the data from the application, web application also. Okay. From API. So my data is there in these systems. Now, as a data engineer, what I have to do? As a data engineer, I will read the data from these 3 systems. Okay. So I will read the data from these 3 systems. Systems. There is some technologies involved. Okay, I'll tell you that. 1 minute. Just a minute. Let me change the network. Okay, let me share the screen again. Yeah. So here you can see there is 3 systems are available. From these 3 systems, I want to read the data. Okay, I want to read the data from these 3 systems into some place. What is this place? I'll tell you. So here you may use, while reading the data from these 3 systems, there are 2 ways. So direct data reading, or you can say batch wise reading, meaning, so from today to tomorrow, let's say from yesterday's to today, I have the 10 GB of data, 10 GB of data, yesterday's to today. I will write it to this location. Okay, from yesterday's to today, meaning 24 hours frequency. The duration is 24 hours. So that is loading of the data to this place as a batch wise. Now, loading of the data, the real time, meaning you are using some application, let's say ICICI Bank, you are doing some transactions, right? In a 1 minute of time, there are lakhs of transactions are doing, right? Within this 1 minute of time, I can write the data to this location. There is no batch, real time processing. Some people, they can use the real time processing for the 10 seconds. Within 10 seconds, we can get the data to this place. Actual data is there in this database from that ICICI Bank application, because as a user, you are doing a transactions that within the 10 seconds window, whatever the transactions are happened, all the transactions will write it to this place. That is real-time data ingestion. Okay, so you can see this is a batch-wise data ingestion. Batch-wise data ingestion, this is a real-time data ingestion. Because we are going to see how we can ingest the real-time data also using some technology that also we'll see. Okay, on a high-level background, and with by showing the scripts also, I'll show. So this is data ingestion part. Now, once the data ingestion is completed, as it is, I'm ingesting the data from the different LHS, meaning different sources. I'm writing it to the one storage. Okay. So from this storage, again, I'm writing to the one more storage. Okay. One more storage. So from this, in between this storage and this storage, what type of things I can do? So I can do data quality check. For example, you are getting an email from this Excel file. Whether the given email is a correct format or not, it should have a proper email ID. Similarly, phone number. The phone number contains the 10 digits or not, right? And if you have the address, have you given the proper address or not? If you give the address like this won't make any sense. So address check, phone number check, email ID check, right? All the data quality checks we will perform on this ingested data from this storage. After performing the data quality checks, I'm writing the data to this storage again. What data it is? This LHS data only. Okay. So from this storage to again, I'm going to write the data to the one more storage. So this storage, what type of things we will do in this storage? From here to here, from this place to this place. So let's say I want to know what is the total sales of my company for this week, for this day. What is the revenue growth of my company from last year to current year, right? All these are a proper meaningful ask. So if you go with all this kind of information, I'm calling it as a analytics. Analytics, because on the existing data, you are providing some analytics. What is the sales? What is the growth of my company from last year to current year? By a region, what is the sales? By a country, what is the sales? By a city, what is the sales? Okay, which customer bought the many items on this week? So I want to give some more. If there is a customers are there who is using the some application less frequently, so they are using a minimal times. I want to give the offer to them. I want to give a 50% discount. So how I can recognize these many number of customers using my applications not frequently? So I want to give the offer to them as a discount so that they'll like my application and they'll come to this application and they'll buy the items. Right? So how I can get them? So I can get the information using the analytics. What type of analytics it is? The getting information on the region wise sales, the customer wise, okay? So whether the product delivered or not in time, okay? So all these analytics we will perform at this stage from here to here. Not only analytics. So what I will do, I will combine this data, DB data and Excel data and API data, I can combine into one table at this place. Some people, they'll combine the data at this place also. It depends upon the project to project. So combining a multiple tables into a one table. Okay. So these things we can do as a data engineer. Once my data is there in this analytics, I will come to a reporting tool. A reporting tool. What is this reporting tool? Where I can show the information in a visual formats with the visualizations, a beautiful page. As a company CEO, by looking at that page, just in 5 minutes, I want to understand what is happening in my company. Okay. So this is, you take any cloud technology or any technology. This is the process or workflow of the data engineer on high level. I'm not going in detail, high level. Okay. So you take any project, we are going to maintain this. Okay. So now let me introduce the technology for this entire workflow. So this entire workflow, I can fulfill this using cloud technology, non-cloud technology. Now, what is non-cloud and what is cloud? Simple. You can assume the cloud and non-cloud in one sentence. If you, the infrastructure of your project, if you are maintaining as a company within your company, then it's a non-cloud. So infrastructure means the computers, servers, okay, that is non-cloud. When it comes to the cloud, you can depend on some cloud provider. So all the machines, servers maintained by the cloud provider. That is a major difference between the non-cloud and the cloud. Okay. And in the cloud, you can work on the technologies directly within the browser. You can take any browser, Google Chrome or Mozilla, Internet Explorer. When it comes to the non-cloud applications, mostly you will use the softwares after installing it. You need to use the softwares after installing within your machine. But when it comes to the cloud, that is not the case always. 80% we will do the things within the browser only. Okay. So the maintenance cost we can reduce on the cloud side. When it comes to the cloud, the maintenance cost will get reduced. Okay. So now let me go back to this workflow again. I'm talking about the only cloud. So on this cloud, this entire workflow, I can fulfill this using a different cloud technologies now. What is different cloud technologies in the industry? There is Azure, AWS, Salesforce, and GCP. These three are top in the industry when compared to the other cloud providers. Okay, Azure, AWS, GCP. Now, when it comes to the Azure, nowadays, since almost 3 years, Azure is top. Okay, so overall market share is AWS is more than Azure, but the growth of the Azure is more than the AWS since last 3 4 years. Every year, almost 5 to 10%. This Azure, the market share of the Azure is increasing. Every year, 5 to 7% it is increasing. If you look at the uh, resources, I mean, the openings of the data engineering also, Azure side, we have a more openings when compared to the AWS. Okay. So now I want to fulfill this entire data engineering workflow using Azure Cloud. Okay. Now let me introduce the technologies now. So here, when it comes to the Azure, Azure is a cloud technology. The provider is Microsoft. Okay, so we can call it as a Microsoft Azure. Now, when it comes to the Microsoft is also having some non-cloud technologies. For example, they have a database technology that is SQL Server. Excel files, this is not a technology, just it's a simple files. API is also not a technology, just it's a API application. So in the industry, there is different database technologies are available like SQL Server, Oracle, Sybase, okay, Redshift, Postgre, many MariaDB, MongoDB, many database technologies are there. Okay, so this is we are going to see SQL Server technology from the Microsoft. Okay, this is MS SQL Server, or you may know if it is a non-cloud. If it is a cloud, this may be Azure SQL, Azure SQL database, if it is a cloud technology. Now, we are doing the data ingestion from this place to this place. How? There is a technology from the Microsoft Azure, Azure Data Factory. Azure Data Factory. And there is a technology from not only Azure Data Factory, Azure Data Bricks. So why I'm saying the Azure two technologies, if we are going to see real-time data ingestion, we'll use the database. Okay, ADF and ADB, Azure Data Factory, Azure Databricks, to do the data ingestion. Nice, fine. So now here at this place to this place, what I'm doing, data refinement, right? Because I'm checking the data, I'm refining the data. This is data ingestion, data refinement. So here also I can use ADF or ADB. So after data refinement, I can call this as a data processing. Here also I can use ADF or ADB. So in our project, in our complete entire workflow, we are going to use ADF and ADB at this level first. Now, when it comes to this place and this place, data ingestion to data refinement will use the Databricks. From data refinement to data processing, we'll use the Databricks. Okay. Now, finally, so here for this reporting needs, I may store the data again in database technologies. Thus, that database technologies is going to be a cloud technologies for us. It may be Azure SQL. It may be Azure SQL, Snowflake, Synapse. All these are database technologies only. Within the Snowflake and Synapse, apart from the database, there are some more advantages also there. Anyhow, we'll discuss that. So here, SQL, Snowflake, Synapse. These are the data storage systems as a database, cloud database. So from these cloud databases, we will use the reporting tools. What is the reporting tool from the Microsoft? There is a Power BI. Okay, Power BI for the reporting to show the data in a visual representations. Okay, this now in order to fulfill this complete architecture, we are using the technologies Azure Data Factory, Azure Databricks, Azure SQL, and also if you want to store the data into the Snowflake or Synapse, that also we are going to see one or two classes. On high level, I'm going to explain, because if you know this entire process, right, just it's a 1 week of time to gain the knowledge on the Snowflake and the Synapse, if you know this entire process. Okay, fine. Now, in order to implement this workflow using these technologies, what are all the prerequisites we should know? Okay, first, SQL. SQL is very, very important in this entire architecture or workflow. If you know SQL, you can easily get the knowledge on this. Next, SQL is one, right? Next, Python. This Python, no need to have the complete Python knowledge, because Python is like a C. We need to know only some technology, some things in the Python which is related to data. Related to data. Okay, Python is a general purpose language. We can use it for the data projects also. Next, you need to know about the Spark. What is Spark? I'll tell you. Here also we'll use the SQL only. SQL plus Python. We'll use this both in the Spark. Okay. If you know these three, you can work on the Snowflake, you can work on the Synapse, you can work on Databricks, you can work on Azure SQL also. Okay. So nowadays, 80% of the projects, they will go with the SQL approach only for the data engineering. So 20%, they may use Spark with the combination of SQL plus Python. Okay, so these are the prerequisites. We are going to see SQL from the scratch. So here how the plan will be. Let me show you the content. If you see concept, first we'll go with the Azure introduction. Azure SQL, Databricks, Data Factory. How, what is Azure, how to create the Azure, everything we will discuss. First, this part is a data manipulation and querying on the SQL and Databricks. Okay, so Snowflake versus Synapse will say separately. So here Azure SQL, Databricks, ADF. On these three systems, use case by use case, how we are going to implement the things. If you see Azure introduction, next technology creation in Azure. So we can go with the Azure SQL, how to create, Databricks, how to create, Data Factory, how to create. After creation of these services or technologies in Azure Cloud, behind the scenes, how the technologies are working, how the power is coming to these technologies. Generally, we can call it as a compute. So here we can represent the compute in a different way, for the Databricks in different way, for ADF in different way. Okay, use case by use case, we will go until last. So once we complete how to play with the data, how to play with the data, then how to load the data. So till here we will get the subject knowledge. Once I get the subject knowledge on the SQL and the Databricks in terms of data playing on top of the database and Excel file or CSV file. I have the data, but I want to play with the data. What kind of play it is? All these features. It may be any topic from this, any use case from all these. It can be a streaming data. I told you, right? Real-time streaming data. Semi-structured data. I have shown that gorest.co.in now. Okay. Data deletion, data updation. Okay. I want to store the data as a temporary storage. I want to combine two tables to one table. So there is a many things, all things we are going to discuss step by step in a comparison mode. So after completion of the Azure SQL, I am not going to jump into the data factory. Then after Databricks, use case by use case, we are going to discuss on the things. Once this is completed, now the second section is comparing data factory and Databricks. Why? Because in the workflow, you can see I'm introducing this one and this one, both. So within the projects, they may use some projects they may use ADF, some projects they may use ADP. Okay, but when compared to the ADF and ADB, for this part, the best practice is for the ADF up to this part, and from here to here, ADB is the best because it's a cheaper than ADF when within this context. I mean, data ingestion to data refinement. So Azure Databricks is a technology nowadays we have, which is having a huge demand in the market. And there is a flexibility of the Databricks is you can use the same Databricks technology in GCP, in AWS, and in Azure. Databricks is a different company. They tie up with the Azure cloud and they tie up with the GCP also. They tie up with the AWS also. They have hosted their Databricks in these three cloud environments. Okay, Databricks is a huge demand technology in the market now. Fine. So where we are, okay, on this, we'll compare the what is ADF, what is ADB in terms of this entire workflow, how to implement the things for this workflow using Azure Data Factory and Azure Databricks. Okay, so use case by use case will go. First, let me give a sample. Linked services, there is a topic. What is linked service? Simple. How I can connect to this layer using Data Factory or Databricks. Similarly, how I can connect to these systems using Data Factory or Databricks. That is linked service. Giving a connection details. Okay, we can connect to the different storages and different technologies. So we can go with the comparison mode by use case on the ADF and ADB also. Once this is done, we will go with the dynamic things, how we can implement the things in a dynamic way. In the projects, generally, we don't go with the static approaches. We'll go with the dynamic approaches, right? So we'll implement the things in dynamic way after learning these static approaches. So up to here, it's all the static approach only. This first section is a complete static approach. Now in the second section also, we'll see the static approaches. Once static approaches are completed, we can start with the generic approaches like dynamic things, implementing the things in a dynamic way. So here, that is the topic with the dynamic implementations. While doing this also, we need to discuss on the performance optimizations also, best practices and the performance optimization. Once this is done, we can go with the project. How I can implement the project, this entire workflow from end to end in a real-time project. So up to here, I'm going to take 4 to 5 requirements. That 5 requirements I'm going to implement in the project. But in your real-time project, it may be a hundreds of requirements. Okay. So this, we are going to implement entire architecture like this. Okay. So here, this is the project. We'll implement the project within the data factory and also using the Databricks. If I go to in this is a Databricks. Inside this, we'll have a Databricks. Okay. So we'll implement the project end to end from source to till last. Azure SQL. Okay. So this is inside this, there are many things. And what is this technology? This is a data factory, guys. If you go to this is a Databricks. Okay. How to log in, how to get the things in Azure Cloud, everything we'll discuss. No worries. Okay. So this is from my side today. We understood what is data engineering, what are all the technologies we are going to cover as part of this Azure data engineering. Okay, fine. So tomorrow we can discuss about the technologies of this. Okay, what technology it is going to be, Azure Data Factory and the Azure Databricks. We can start using that in order to fulfill this data engineering. Okay. Yeah, there is a message. Yeah, the same time, same link tomorrow is. Okay. Any questions? Let me stop sharing. Yeah, any questions from anyone?